Today we'll be considering literary devices. Literary devices. Alright, let's get started. When an author sits to write a story, you need to understand that they don't just write. They don't just write, oh, this happened and that's all. No. Instead, she uses what are called literary devices, which are narrative techniques. Note that literary devices are also called what? Narrative techniques. So these narrative techniques add texture, energy, and excitement to the narratives and grip the reader's imagination and convey information. So doing literary devices will do certain things. It is to grip the reader's attention and imagination because it will start to play in his head and you can really tell, oh yeah, this is what she's trying to say. Oh, I understand the story. And then it's conveying information to the reader. So you can say that literary devices are narrative techniques that convey information and add texture to a piece of writing. I think that's simple enough. So literary devices are narrative techniques that convey information and add texture to a piece of writing. We're going to consider two literary devices right now. So let's go into it. The first one is allusion. So what is allusion? What do we mean when we say allusion? What is allusion? Allusion is when an author refers to the events or characters from another story in a own story, with the hope that those events will add context or depth to the story she's trying to tell. Do you understand that at all? Don't worry, I'm going to explain. If I am writing a story about war, I can easily make a reference to, allusion simply means making a reference, okay? I can simply make a reference to a particular event that happened in time past, yes, in time past, or maybe in history, about a particular war that happened. Maybe that cost people so many lives and all of that. We can easily make reference to World War I, World War II, right? That is popular, that is, people can easily have access to that. So allusion is making reference. So it is when an author refers to the events or to characters from another story, not just story, from history, from books, from the scriptures. Alright? So while allusions are common, they are also risky. You know why? Because the author is not sure. She cannot tell, he cannot tell if the reader that is picking up his or her book to read has a background knowledge of that particular book you're making reference of. So imagine I'm writing a story and I'm referring to a particular event in Macbeth. That's a Shakespearean novel. Now imagine the reader hasn't read the book itself, Macbeth. And now you're making a reference to that. It will be very difficult for the reader to get a grip of what you're trying to explain because he doesn't have a background knowledge of what you're saying. So to limit that risk, allusions are often to very famous works such as the Bible or the Shakespearean plays. Those are common books that people can find around and read. They're mostly used in schools, in colleges, and that's easily accessible. So you make use of common books, the Bible, history that people can actually remember. Okay, so for example, one of the most alluded to texts in literature is the Bible, and specifically the New Testament. Here is an allusion that a writer might make to the biblical story of Lazarus, who famously rose from the dead. Notice how using the allusion helps intensify the character's recovery. Now listen. Night after night, our hero lay in bed with the flu, hugging mucus and blood. and seeing behind his eyelids the angels or devils come to collect him. Look at that. That is expressing how long gone into the sicknesses he's been. That means he's almost at the verge of death. So look at the next sentence. But one morning, like Lazarus, he was whole again. So that's an expression of what happened to Lazarus. That's a reference to what happened to Lazarus, how he came back to life, how he rose from the dead. So having expressed the fact that this particular character is almost gone, but came back to life all of a sudden. So it should also be noted that an allusion doesn't have to specifically name the character or event it's referring to. You don't have to mention the names. You don't have to mention the event you're referring to. Just make your reference and that's fine. Okay, another literary devices we'll be considering today is the diction. The diction. Diction refers to an author's choice of words. When describing the event of a story, an author never has just one word at her disposal. That would be bad. Imagine I want to write a story and all I have is just few words to express my mind. I'll be stuck. I will be stranded. So, an author will always look for numerous words in order to convey what she has in mind. So, she must choose from many words that have similar denotation or denotative meanings. That's the meaning you have in your dictionary, but different connotative meanings. That means the association of the word, whether positive or negative, with the given word. The decision she makes with these words are what we call addiction. How she's been able to use it in order to convey her meaning is what we call diction. Alright, for example, imagine that a child is on a family vacation and tells his parent about his day. Alright, let's see how he expresses himself. Excuse me. Here are 4 separate ways he could describe his behavior at the beach. Notice how selecting one italicized word over another, shifting the diction, totally changes the meaning of the sentence. The first one we have, Tommy made fun of me, so I stomped on his sandcastle. That's number 1. Look at the meaning. The second one, Tommy made fun of me, so I trampled on a sandcastle. Can you see how it has changed the meaning? Let's see at the third one. Tommy made fun of me, so I trod on his sandcastle. Can you see the difference now? Tommy made fun of me, so I worked on his sandcastle. Alright, every of those words being changed has effect on the meaning. Look at the last one. Tommy made fun of me, so I walked on his sandcastle. Walked, trod, trampled, and stomped are different. The actions involved are different. So the words stomped, trampled, trod, and walked all have similar denotation meanings, but notice how an author's choosing one or the other will drastically affect how we understand how well Tommy fared. Do you understand? So you can tell that the choice of word of a particular author will play on the reader's mind greatly and get a particular effect that the author aspires to get. So these are the 2 devices we're going to consider this week. We'll be taking text and making reference of these allusion and then diction. How do we use that diction? Where can we find allusion in a particular text? I'm happy you're in class today and I hope you've learned something new. Alright, thank you for coming to class. See you later.